I got it literally yesterday. I got that hat yesterday and wrote it in Sharpie. And $7 turned into, a big-time thing.
Thanks to a trip to Ragstock for a Halloween costume, the Grit Factory has taken Wisconsin football by storm. Force a turnover, and you get to put on the hat. But the Grit Factory isn't just a turnover prop. It epitomizes what this defense is and how they want to play.
We're all about, having gritty dudes around and, showing a lot of grit out there on the D. And I think, it kind of showed up today.
When you talk about the Grit Factory, I mean, this is the factory of grit, the University of Wisconsin. So, it's so fitting, and I mean, I just love how it took off.
Welcome to the Badger Blueprint. He's Wisconsin State Journal columnist Jim Polzin. I'm Zach Hanley. And even Paul Chryst had a little chuckle about the Grit Factory. And Jim, that defense set the tone early and often against Iowa.
Yeah, Paul Chryst isn't normally a turnover prop guy, but I understand why he's okay with it. This defense has been carrying this team on their backs all season long, and it just continues. Sounds like a broken record, but every week it's the same thing. They play hard, they play smart, and lately they've been getting turnovers.
First couple games of the season, the Badger offense didn't really look good. Turnovers were up, points were down, they couldn't run the ball, and the passing game was non-existent. But things have started to come together during this 4-game win streak, and even though Saturday's stats didn't jump off the page at you, the offense is trending up thanks to some hard conversations that happened at practice before the Illinois game.
You could tell there were guys that were kind of, slacking on stuff, or there was a lack of confidence or a lack of knowledge on things, and we kind of just said hey, we got to pick it up, and we've been doing that each week. It's getting, each week is more and more intense, and as a football player, you like to see that because it shows that guys care.
We're really just playing off each other. I mean, we're doing great in the run game, and the passing game's coming together. We're playing off each other, and really that energy's just feeding all together.
Normally it's the run setting up the pass for the Badgers, but it seemed like it was the other way around against the Hawks.
Yeah, I think everybody in that stadium was surprised. Certainly Iowa was surprised when Wisconsin came out throwing. They threw on 8 of their first 17 plays. Nobody saw that coming. But you need to do that. You need to be balanced. This team has been very one-dimensional, just run team only. They needed to throw the ball a little better. They did in the first quarter. I mean, it didn't progress that way the rest of the game, but I thought the first quarter, into the second quarter, that this passing offense finally looked like maybe we expected it to.
It's officially November, and that means every game left on Wisconsin's schedule means that much more. In recent history, the Badgers have dominated during this month. Since 2014, they're 22-4 in November, and this group plans to add 4 more to that total.
November football is, I feel like everybody kind of calls it as championship football. November football kind of determines, a lot of things.
This is, what you strive for in the winter and in the summer. These big games when it comes down to the end of the year, you got, the must-win games.
Every game is a playoff game for us. We know it's when to go home, and we have our goals still intact for us, and we want to accomplish them.
Up first is a trip to Rutgers. Sometimes I forget they're still in the Big Ten because these teams rarely play.
Yeah, and this starts a stretch where the schedule is pretty favorable for Wisconsin. You talked about that record in November. I think they can add to that. Certainly they don't want to look too far ahead, and I think that's the one thing this team's been doing really since the Michigan loss. They realized that was kind of the breaking point. They couldn't lose the rest of the season, so I think they've treated every game like a Big Ten championship game.
Now, you mentioned the final 4 games, Rutgers, Nebraska, Northwestern. I think we can both agree that the battle for the Yaks is Wisconsin's toughest test left, and they should win them all.
They really should. I've come around on this team, and mainly because of the way they played the last 2 weeks against ranked opponents. You remember we talked about how this program's identity had kind of turned into not beating the best teams on their schedule. Well, the last 2 weeks they've kind of changed that narrative. It's become more of a complete team.
After what happened last year, just to take that back, it felt so good.
The Bull is back. The Badgers put into words what taking the trophy back meant to them. That's next on the Badger Blueprint. There's nothing better than beating a rival, and for the 8th time in the last 10 meetings, the Badgers beat the Hawks to take home the Heartland Trophy, and after not having the Bull in Madison all of last year, celebrating with the trophy was a special feeling.
I remember always thinking, I want to do that one day, and I want to be a senior who gets to go out winning a trophy, and that's kind of one of the biggest parts of being a senior is that you get to grab the trophy and take it back into the locker room, and it was pretty emotional, I'd say.
This game doesn't have much of a history, but it's still a big one. Jim, did the Badgers start off November with a win?
Rutgers runs the ball pretty well, but that's obviously works to Wisconsin's favor. They stop the run really well. As long as Wisconsin limits mistakes, I think they're going to win this one going away. So, yes, I think Wisconsin will win.
I mean, it is Rutgers. Their wins are against Temple, Syracuse, Delaware, and Illinois. Wisconsin, 3-0 all-time against them. They're going to be 4-0 after this Saturday. And that's it for this week's Badger Blueprint. For Jim Polzin, I'm Zach Hanley. Thanks for watching.